Welcome. How's everybody doing? We had yet another volatile day in the market today. What's up, the guy in laid back in the chat? How's everybody doing? I think I already said that. So, you know the vibes. We're going to run down everything that happened today. Thank you. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, so I'm not even going to try, but thank you for a subscription. Maybe you can let me know how to pronounce in the chat. But yeah, let's get started. We're going to start with crypto after I talk about some cryptos. I tweeted a lot today. I was sharing as much as I could in Discord until Discord went down today. So I'll recap a lot of the price action from today. I'll give my thoughts on what's happening or what could potentially happen next in the market. And we'll look at some individual names. CLOV is up like 40-something% on the week and up 50% since earnings. So we're going to recap that. And yeah, let's get into it. Before we even really get into the charts, we can start with this. So this is from Reuters, I believe. All right, let's get started. So first up, we have a U.S. ban on imports of Russian oil. Biden had I don't know if speech is the right word to use, but Biden went live today. And there's a few different things he said, which we're going to go over in a second. But also you have the number of refugees increasing, and Russia apparently is trying to allow, like an evacuation day for citizens. They've had multiple failed attempts. I forget which city it was. In one city where they said, they're going to, calm down for a bit, and then they just didn't. So we'll see. That's also somewhere in this article, I believe. You also have a lot of companies across the world, not just American companies, but European companies. I know Adidas is one of them, stopping their operations in Russia. Biden did talk about oil today a little bit. I think don't quote me on this, but I think he said it's going to keep going up, something along those lines, or it's, it wasn't necessarily any, how do I put this? I wouldn't say he was being an optimist, but also how do you really be an optimist when times are like this? So that's kind of how I looked at it. I only heard like a few minutes of it, so correct me if I'm wrong. But so yeah, it's another way to punish Russia after all the other sanctions. Let's see what else is in this article. That's new. So civilians fled the besieged city of Sumy, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, today, in the first successful humanitarian corridor. And then there's also, so this is what I think I was talking about earlier. Talks between Kyiv and Moscow over safe passage have previously failed, I think twice already. And then in order to ensure the safety of civilians and foreign citizens, Russia will observe a regime of silence from 10 a.m. Moscow time tomorrow. I don't know what time is in Russia right now. There's different time zones in Russia. Let me see. Moscow. So it's 2 in the morning. So in about 8 hours, they are ready to provide humanitarian corridors. And there was multiple cities, 4 other cities. So these are the cities. I'm going to mess up the pronunciations of them. So these are the cities right here. I'm not going to even try. So that's supposed to be happening in a few hours here. We'll see. And also you're getting Zelensky is asking for no-fly zones. I forgot who it was. It was on CNBC today. But they were talking about this specifically. I think it might have been Fox. I don't remember. But they were talking about how, having a no-fly zone could also escalate things in different ways. There's just a lot of different scenarios. I'm not an expert in any of this. I'm just trying to do my best to relay certain news events that are, of course, moving the markets, but more importantly, impacting a lot of people in the world. So there's that. And then today, we also had Apple have revealed a few different things. You've got a new Mac Studio display. Very crazy. What's crazy, in my opinion, with what Apple did today was the M1 Ultra. Is that what they're calling it? Let me see if that's right. Also, the studio displays, they're like thousands of dollars for monitors, which I don't know what Apple's doing there, but they sell everything. So, they're doing what they're always doing. It's called, the M1 Ultra, which is crazy. I'm literally streaming off of an M1 MacBook right now, and it never lags. There's never issues with it. And I think they said this is the M1 Ultra is 8 times faster than the M1. So I can't even imagine what that is. That's just insane. I don't think a lot of people understand like what's really happening here with these new M1 chips over the past year or two. It's really crazy. You know, if they're not the best, they're like the second or third best. It's like the amount of advancement Apple has shown with chips in the last 2 or 3 years, I think is, and I'm not an expert in this either, but I think is just really, really good. New iPad Air, which also has an M1 in, I forget which M1 or how many M1s. New iPhone SE, different colors for the phones. Here you go, new shades of green. So there was that. You have this new Studio display, Mac Studio. So that all came out today. I think Apple might have closed Red. So we can head back over to the charts. I just realized I wasn't on full screen, so sorry if a lot of that got cut out. Thought it was on full screen. But Apple was, yes, Apple did close down 1%. So those were some headlines from today. I'm sure there was a bunch more. Let's see if I could quickly find any before we go over the charts. It's pretty much just like the moves across the market, so we'll talk about that. Let's get started with Bitcoin, which is currently up 2%. I don't know if much really changed. On the daily, nothing changed at all. On the 4 hour, you're now starting to see, remember that hidden bullish divergence I was talking about? That is slightly playing out. It's really not doing much. I mean, off your lows, you're up like 4%. Guess it's something, but still just not much of a clear edge until Bitcoin breaks under 34K or over 45 or 46K. You know, I charted the same range yesterday. It's really the same thing today. Ethereum is kind of in the middle of its triangle or pennant, however you want to look at it. So just not much of any changes in cryptos. OMI though, which we've talked about on stream many times before, is up 19% today. There probably is some sort of a catalyst, but I think we did look at this the other day. I think this is a Gartley, might be. It's a mix of a Gartley and a bat, but we talked about how it hit this 886 level, bounced off of it, and now you're trying to make another low. I mean, even without that, you could still just look at this like a potential higher low for the first time in a while. But you do have resistance at that first orange line you see. So that's crypto. Let's move on over into other markets. Crude oil, like crude oil futures. First day where you didn't make a newer high in some time. I mean, you closed green, so technically this is still your highest close in, I think, like almost a decade. So you're still in your uptrend, but you didn't really advance as much as like the last few days or whatever. So yeah, still overbought. Nothing has really changed. You're still above the very, very big resistance zone. There still isn't any resistance till 147 on like crude oil futures. We'll see what happens. There's obviously no patterns or anything, and it is overbought, but it's just obviously catalyst moving this. Apart from that, the Hang Seng Index closed even lower today. Next support is 19,649 from these lows in June of 2016. It just broke under the COVID crash lows. So as long as it's under that, I'm not a fan of how this is looking. If it reclaims it, then you got gaps to fall to the upside. But as long as you're under this blue zone, it looks a little bit scary. Russian market still halted. Gold. What can you say? I mean, step by step, okay? I say this every night on stream at this point, but I couldn't stop talking about it over here. It made a nice initial run, it pulled back, and then obviously Catalyst propelled it on this move. But even in these areas, I was telling all of you that all-time highs is pretty likely if you break above these resistances. And I think literally like on Sunday night or something, I said all-time highs could definitely be in the card. And you're pretty much, you're brushing all-time highs on gold spot. You are, I mean, from the high of your day today, you were like 0.2% away from hitting a new all-time high. So just days ago, I said, look for a new all-time high, and we were like 3 or 4% lower, and now we're pretty much like there, which is just crazy. I mean, such a crazy move. If we go over to like the weekly chart over here, you can see the triangle breakout, and this is your final resistance on gold, at least horizontally. So if it breaks this, then you could use a 1272 Fibonacci extension, which takes you up to about 2200. You could also look at this as a rounding bottom, or if you really want to zoom out and go over to, let's say, the monthly, you look at it as like a major cup and handle, which I've shown, I think like a year ago was the first time I showed this on the monthly. You want to look at it like this, and you just want to, I'm not going to take the measured move of the actual cup and handle because that's pretty much probably going to double it. I mean, we can just look at it. It's just very rough. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much doubling the price of gold. I mean, it's a 51% move up, but from your lows down there, you're just repeating the same move. So I wouldn't really look at it like that, but one thing you really, apart from Fibonacci, let's go back over to the daily. Apart from Fibs, you could also just go from this low to your high over here, right? Let me do it with an actual tool. So if we do it like this, then a measured move would be all the way up at 24.69-ish. And who knows, maybe if it does show some resistance, or if gold pulls back at its previous all-time high, which is its final resistance, maybe this does turn into a cup and handle inside of a monthly cup and handle, right? If it starts pulling back here, maybe back tests this high or something. I'm just throwing out different scenarios. So that's gold. The dollar pretty much was sideways today, didn't really do much. And what else happened today? Silver. I've been talking about silver for the last 2 nights on stream. Sunday night and Monday night, I said look for silver to potentially break out, and I said if it does break out, it could go up very quickly. And silver was up 5% at one point today, which is a huge move for silver. This is the silver ETF. It's not actual spot. Spot silver. I mean, boom. That's really it. From open to high of day on spot, you were also up 5%. So there you go. 25.25 is the level I showed you all for the gap fill. I still think that could definitely hit in time, but now you also have a gap to the downside at $23, $24, $23.75-ish from your gap up today. So silver, the move finally happened after 2 days of waiting patiently or impatiently. I don't know. But remember, this is still, gold has already done this. Gold's like right here. So silver still is at a much lower retrace than gold. All right, so those are some other assets. We can move over to the US stock market right now. Futures are slightly red. I don't remember the last time futures were like green when I was streaming. It's been a long time. Crazy day today. We ended up closing even lower, but the price action intraday was very, very interesting. And that's why, if you remember, there were a couple days like over here where I kind of messed up, where like we saw like morning bounces and I got very excited and I started putting out like a couple swings and just getting like super, super bullish, like, and I didn't wait for like the close or for confirmation at the close. And today, that was the one difference for me today. I really wanted to wait to see what the close looked like before having like an overall thesis of the market. It's a good thing I did wait, because if you were to have looked at the market, you know, let's see what time, at around noon, then you would have been back above your very, very important zone. This candle wouldn't have looked like this. It would have just looked like a big green candle and you're at high days. But I was like, gotta wait to see what the close looks like. And then the last couple hours of the day, you did fall. So it was a crazy day price action wise. Before I go down to lower time frames, let's just focus on how we look based on the close. Based on the close, we don't look too great. We were looking a lot better intraday. So like, you know, if I was live during noon, you would have seen me be like, oh my gosh, this is looking pretty good. We're back above the major zone. Hopefully we can close here, but nope, we did not. So it's a good thing that I was able to look for confirmation. And pretty much at this point, you can look at this as a bearish retest over your breakdown you saw yesterday. You had your worst day. Don't remember the stat. I think since October. I think yesterday was the worst day. I was trying to look at it on stream, and I said basically it was like the worst day of the year, but I didn't realize it was since last October. Let's see if I can pull up some stats here. I believe I retweeted this. So I think yesterday was the worst day for the S&P since October. I really thought I had retweeted that. And then also, this is the second worst year, or this is the second worst start of the year for US equities in 123 years. The 12% drop in the first 44 trading days in 2022 is only rivaled by the Great Depression and the Great Financial Crisis, so 1929 and 2008. So these last 2 months, we have witnessed the same sort of drop relative to the beginning of the year that you saw in 2 of the largest crashes the US market has ever seen, if not the largest crashes. So that just goes to show, you know, why it's been really, really hard to swing, but also at the same time, an 81% win rate, primarily trading call options in these 2 months. That speaks for itself. I just tweeted that out on Twitter, but also shout out to Macro Alpha for dropping these stats on Twitter. So that's crazy. I didn't even realize that. And yeah, the QQQ, the Nasdaq, they've already seen technical bear markets, which means they're down 20% from their highs. And that's where we currently are percentage wise. So yeah, our next support is our lows from February 24th. I said the same exact thing yet last night on stream. You retested your previous support as a resistance today. You were not able to break above it, and then you sold off into the close. I do not see a lot of strength in this candle. You could look at it kind of like an inverted hammer, but like I still don't. I'd want to see a green candle, like a bullish engulfing or something good tomorrow to even like think about it like that. You want there to be 3 candles in that formation, not just one. So that's where you're currently at on the S&P on the daily. But actually, I'm gonna come back to lower time frames in a bit. Let's go over the daily time frames and on all the indices before I come back to lower time frames. Same thing for the QQQ. Your support on the QQQ is around 316 to like 318. It's either your low from February 24th or your support back from last May. That's the next support I'd be eyeing for the QQQ. The Russell is the bottom of the range. You're back in the middle of the range. The bottom's at 188. Top of the range is 205. Not much to talk about the Russell until it breaks either direction. The ARK ETF, it was showing a potential for quadruple classic bullish divergence at one point today because this MACD was waning, but then it fell back over in the afternoon, so it's no longer showing that. But this is like your final chance for this being any sort of a double bottom. If you break under your low from today, then I think $50 is in the cards. And then we have remember we talked about this yesterday, the bullish bat PCC if the ARK gets down to $50. Why is it not showing up? Did I delete it? I think I did. So, and you have this bullish bat down at $50, and then also a previous resistance from these highs over here. So we'll see. And then finally, the Nasdaq support is around 12.4K from your lows last March, unless you somehow hold above February 24th lows. So those are like your higher time frames. 4 hours, you're just kind of retesting your February 24th low. So that's probably the primary thing I'd be focusing on right now. For the large cap indices, potential for classic bullish divergence on ARK here. That's really it. Okay, so those are your 4 hour time frames. Now let's break down the SPY and like the price action today, which was crazy. So let's go down to the 1 hour time frame. Let's start with this. Last night on stream, I showed you all this. 1 second. Let me actually do something here. All right, last night on stream, I showed you all that bullish cipher on lower time frames. And today was crazy, so we're gonna break down everything. Let me scroll all the way down. So yeah, today was the S&P's worst day since October 2020. Okay. So I showed you all this harmonic yesterday coming into today, and it was either a cipher or a shark. It kind of was like right in between them, you know, an 85% retrace. But you ended up hitting the PCZ of this cipher, and you bounced 3% on the same day off of that PCZ, which is very, very impressive. And this is the one thing going into tomorrow. If you open somewhat flat and the futures aren't too harsh, then you could maybe look at this as a potential double bottom at the PCZ, which opens up not necessarily a certainty that you're going to bounce right at the open, but at least a lower risk opportunity. Like if you open around, let's say post markets 415.64, then you're opening here, and like it's not financial advice, but I'm just saying the risk for just putting a stop, you know, maybe a 0.25% under yesterday's low, and then targeting first target, like maybe just this resistance zone or yesterday's high. It gives you a nice little reward to risk in the morning, but it's not necessarily the highest probability. It's just a very optimal reward to risk scenario at these levels. But that was your big thing for coming into today, that cipher, which I did share in the Discord yesterday afternoon. And then you did a couple other things. You also hit the demand line of this channel. Let's see if I could find all of this in the Discord. Here we go. Demand line bounce 10:22 a.m. This is why you have to be in the Discord. This is where I'm sharing the intraday analysis and all the alerts. It hit the demand line of this channel at 418 and also simultaneously hit the PCZ of a cipher, shark, whatever you want to call it. And with those two given variables, you also had pretty much triple classic bullish divergence. So right in these areas, you had a pretty good edge for the S&P 500. Okay, you had a harmonic PCZ, divergence, and a demand line. And you also had some catalysts at the same time. You had a few different headlines come out, and that led to a 3% rally. So that was a nice move for the S&P. And just in terms of the technicals, that's really what you have going on. Even on the 5th minute, it was close to a hammer candle. And you did attempt So I shared some calls in these areas, which I'll go over in a second, but you did attempt a breakout of this channel. However, you were not able to really get much past that because you were retesting your previous resistance as a support. So only if there was somebody who could have shared a call option alert near the low of the day for the market and then warned about the market potentially topping out the high of the day, I just would have been crazy, you know, if somebody was able to do that. So here was a call option alert when the S&P was at $418 today. It went up to 427 after that, so it went up 10 points after this. And then also, here was me warning about the high of the day resistance. SPY could see some resistance in the blue zone, 50% retrace, and previous support. So as it was breaking out this channel, you know, somebody who wasn't looking at levels probably would have just seen, oh my gosh, it's breaking the supply line, it's breaking out this channel. And maybe people were just going long at this point, but then those people probably weren't realizing that this was your previous support that we broke down from yesterday. And it's also your 50% retrace and a horizontal level. So you just had so many different points lining up here. And this is actually when I took profits on my calls a little bit after this. So that's why you gotta be following me on Twitter or join the Discord so you can get these updates. Wrong one. Come on. So that was a price action from today. And yeah, I did share some calls on the SPY right over here where I just put that blue box. I shared some calls, and this was pretty much like the most frustrating part of today. So it was only, you know, 0.5% away from the low of the day I shared calls at, but my entry timing was a bit off. Yeah, Biden started speaking, I think, like right on this candle, and the market just didn't have a good initial reaction to Biden speaking today. And you just retested your session lows, and this is pretty much what happened. So I alerted those SPY calls at $1.59. I think they went up to like $5 after that later on in the day. But the issue was they went down slightly first. So, you know, if you look at it from here to up here, it was a great play. And all you had to do was not be looking at your account for like 15-20 minutes, and then it was all good. So to the people who you know, I don't know, went for lunch break or something right after that alert, congratulations. But this move was this was the one that kind of messed up what could have been a legendary day for alerts. But yeah, so the calls dropped first, and I pretty much shared that I was watching a new session lows where I was going to stop them out. At least for the sheet. That's just, I have to have some sort of way to manage risk for all of my trades, and that's what I usually do, and usually it actually helps out when I do stuff like that. You know, when you break to a new session low, that could take you to much lower levels. But today, composite operator definitely stop hunted in these areas, and it just shot up right after that. So the overall trade idea was right, but the timing was wrong, and you know, timing is very, very important. So that was pretty much what happened. And, you know, even though it did get stopped out and whatnot, and I had to mark it red, I still said it might have just been stop hunted in hindsight. It's trying to double bottom now. And that was still at 417. So even after, if you just saw this, you could have seen, okay, there's still a decent chance it's trying to double bottom at 417, and it went all the way up to over here at 426. So it did make a nice move later on in the day. And I continued to update on it as much as I could. All the levels were already charted out. So that was the move on SPY today. As long as you didn't get screwed over by the composite operator, it could have been a 200% profit trade on those call options alerted today. I did hold the calls. I actually played as good as I could have. I feel like I was entering in these areas as well. I had further out calls than what I alerted, but I think I had 427 calls actually, and I did take profits right at these levels as I saw it was back testing a previous support as a resistance. So that was the move on SPY today. Almost shared the bottom of the day and definitely shared the high. And then I also alerted AMC for everybody right over here. So I shared AMC calls. Those went from 61 cents to like 85 cents, I think, which is about a 40% move. So all you have to do, both of these are free alerts. I did share some alerts in premium as well, but these two were free alerts. So you could have made 200% on the SPY alert today and 40% on AMC today. AMC was a much easier trade. It was like literally, it just went up. That was pretty much it. But the idea for AMC was a 5-minute descending broadening wedge, a 30-minute channel breakout in a back test of a support, and then a 1-hour bullish alternate bat with classic bullish divergence. And I did talk about the potential for AMC making a bullish bat, I think on Sunday night stream, maybe Monday. I think Zeke, you requested it. So that was a move on AMC. It made a nice move. It broke out of the wedge eventually, tested the breakout, and then it went for it. And that was a recap for like the non-premium trades today. I also shared 2 in premium. One of them was Nvidia, and this was pretty much just like the SPY. It did the same exact thing as the SPY. You know, when the SPY went down to get stop hunted, this one pretty much got stop hunted, and then these went up like 100% after, just shortly after. They went up like 100% from the entry. And then I shared IWM calls, which I guess were like the premium's version of AMC. So it was kind of like the same thing in both premium and non-premium. The first ones both were monster trades if you just held, but the stop hunt was pretty annoying. And then the second trades, they were just like free money almost at that point. These went from like 260 up to $4. I think they went higher than $4. So this was like a 50% profit on IWM. Even some CLOV calls I shared yesterday played out today. Those ones hit 130% profit. And we'll get to CLOV shortly, but those are some of the alerts so far. Apart from that, that's pretty much the overall market. Should we talk about, let's talk about Lucid and then CLOV. So Lucid, if you go back to last night's stream, I showed you all this on Lucid. I showed you all that Lucid. It did break down end of day, which is the only reason I didn't alert it. It broke down from like this little pennant end of day. Let me make it a different color so it's clearer. Go full screen. So it broke down from like this pennant end of day yesterday, but I did say last night on stream to keep an eye on Lucid because it overall broke out of a larger downsloping wedge and it was back testing. And today Lucid had a great day. Let's see, at the high of the day, Lucid was up 12%. I thought it was only 9%. Wow. So if you watched last night's stream, you could have got the idea for Lucid, the rough idea based on the pattern. That was a nice move. Then it pulled back with the market end of day. But that's just like a little quick update on Lucid. For those of you who watch the stream, I try to give out little hints on stuff like this here and there. Now let's move on to CLOV. Talk about that. So CLOV is now up 50% since if I can find it. Since this. So since I tweeted at $2 that CLOV was at the apex of this wedge. I showed this wedge on stream. I showed you all this weekly classic bullish divergence. Since this, which was February 23rd, CLOV is now up 50%. Went from $2 to $3. So the wedge, the classic bullish divergence, has played out beautifully, obviously with the help of a catalyst in earnings and also Chelsea Clinton buying last Friday, or the report of that. But just look at that, like, you know, the wedge appeared before the earnings and the insider buying catalysts appeared, right? So so that's really where you're at. Okay, you also got a MACD crossover to green on the weekly. It's testing $3. Even earlier today, I tweeted, actually it's one of the first things I tweeted. Yeah, so at 10:56 in the morning, I said CLOV is testing a breakout confirmation to take it 3. What were we watching on CLOV apart from the weekly wedge? This inverse head and shoulders. I've been talking about this the last 2 nights on stream on the 1 hour and 4 hour. And this morning I did alert at 280 that it was testing the breakout in the Discord and on Twitter, and it broke it and it went to the next resistance. It broke one resistance, it went to the next one, even went higher. It went higher than 306 actually. So on lower time frames, there you go. This was the inverse head and shoulders breakout and a nice start to the inverse head and shoulders. It's always possible that it back tests. You know, this is your previous resistance zone. So, you know, hopefully if it does fall back down to these areas, it can hold it and then break to a new higher high, but we'll see. And then, yeah, at this point, you broke out your inverse head and shoulders level by level. All right, these are all my levels on CLOV up to like $6. So just level by level. All right, testing 3 now. We'll see what happens. So that's CLOV 50% higher since that wedge breakout. Still looks like, I mean, if you just really zoom out, it's already up like 36% on the week. At one point, it was up over 40% on the week. But if you zoom out, like, it still looks like nothing compared to how much it's dropped. You know, percent wise, it's a huge amount for a short amount of time, but dollar wise, like, you know, you've only gone up $1 and you're down $25, $26 from your all-time highs. And even just from like your $10, you know, SPAC IPO price, you're still down $7. So, that's CLOV. Anything else? On the watch list, Fisker was up 2% today. It's still on the weekly. Fisker still testing this bottom of the range. Close to, but not actually a bullish engulfing candle on the daily. However, you did get one for your first 4-hour candle on Fisker. It's no different than yesterday. Just hopefully you can hold above that green demand line. Thankfully, the hidden bearish divergence didn't really do much on the 4-hour, but you still have it on the daily, so we'll see. Hopefully, you just hold above the mid $9 area. That's really it for Fisker right now. Tesla was up 2.5% today, but it still rejected the 200 moving average after breaking under yesterday. And Netflix swing stopped out, but Facebook swing is still alive, still hanging on by a thread. No change technically since yesterday. So you can go watch last night's stream for that update. And then there actually was a nice one. I alerted this swing to premium members yesterday and hit the first target today. So I alerted it at $20.32 yesterday, hit the first target at 25 today. Energy stocks are going crazy, so that was a 26% gain in the day. I do believe I shared this on stream. I went over my watch list on Sunday night and I showed a few different stocks, and a good amount of them are doing very well. I mean, SWM was up a lot at one point today. At one point today, it was up another 8.78%. It did pull back towards the end of the day. You know, from the open of the week to the high of the week, SWM's made like an 11% move. It's testing the neckline of this inverse head and shoulders. I believe I showed this on Sunday. Reg is another one, which is currently up like 18-19%. This one I showed like down around these areas on stream, and it was in the watch list. So energy stocks still going crazy. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Quick recap of what happened today and my thoughts and everything. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and join the Discord. The link's in the description. See you tomorrow. Have a good night. Peace out.